I, Deputy Sean Grayson, was dispatched to 2868 Hoover Avenue for a prowler. While on scene, I was in fear. Deputy redacted and I were going to receive great bodily harm or death due to being in fear of our safety and life, comma, I fired my duty weapon. And as we see, it makes absolutely zero sense. In great fear of what? The prowler? Chucky, all of them, came from Illinois. Was that who you were in fear of? He didn't answer any questions. This is shitty report writing. So, how did Sean Grayson become a law enforcement individual? When I take a look at his personnel file, we're going to take a look at the written notes from a former police chief that he worked for, pointing out some red flags. And then we're going to also review the police report from the night of July 6th, the incident that led up to the tragic death of Sonya Massey. All the documents that I will be reading from come from bangmanil.gov. You scroll down and you will find a link for Sean Grayson's personnel file. Report writing is very important. Being able to articulate, being able to write a narrative, being able to accurately document reports is key in law enforcement. During the interview process, a lot of it is now online where you type in, you can print up your resume, things like that. But there comes a point in time where you have to write your penmanship, the way you express events, complete a sentence. That is key. I've noticed, Grayson's handwriting is not the best, but I noticed here there's a section on military service. And under 5 golf, it asks for type of discharge. Older veterans who served during like Vietnam, Desert Storm, things like that, their enlistments were like 3 years. I think 3 years is the minimum to qualify for VA benefits and stuff like that. Well, as you see here, Grayson didn't even make 2 years. That's something. But right here it says type of discharge. And Grayson's response was honorable. Now pause this for a second. But here's a copy of Sean Grayson's DD-214. As you can see, his type of discharge is here under special edition information. Under honorable conditions, he has a general discharge. So that's an inconsistency right there. Although he had a discharge under honorable conditions, a general discharge, he misrepresented that when it came to his application, and he stated that he had an honorable discharge. He did not. He had a general discharge, okay? So that was one red flag that jumped out. An additional information sheet. The directions were, please write the number of questions being answered. If additional space is needed, please use a separate sheet of paper. I don't see any numbers. It asks, what number are you referring to? He did not do that. Also, his sentences are not really complete sentences. It's like, okay, you have to know when to capitalize, when to use certain words, when to end a sentence, when to start a new paragraph, because you write reports. You write police reports that citizens use for their insurance companies, for their obituaries, to seek out charges. You write magistrate reports or probable cause statements. You write your district attorney letters so that they can prosecute your case. This would have been a major red flag to jump out at me, like, if I was reviewing this, because it's all types of jacked up. Now, I'm going to insert a screenshot because I could not find the actual note. These here are field notes from Auburn Police Chief Dave Campbell. I'm not sure of any relation to Jack Campbell, but this was of the interview that was conducted on April 5th, 2022. I guess the notes that he needed to go over when they were interviewing Grayson about his past history, about his reports and his cases not being prosecuted, reckless driving, stuff like that. First asterisk says struggles with report writing. That's very evident what we've seen right here. This is something that is very important on the job. And he continued to struggle with this. Another one was very aggressive with getting drugs, expressed concern with I don't know what the rest of that is. Like I said, it cut off. One pro they put down was that he's always early for work. Posted his drug arrest on Facebook about a year ago. That is problematic. That is problematic when you go to post your drug arrest, anything about your cases on Facebook, on social media, that becomes evidence. That becomes, discoverable, like if that's a word, discoverable. But when you get the motion of discovery, it can be brought up in court, anything. I did not post that I was a police officer. The police department posted that I was a police officer because I did not do this. This is something I noticed in the era of TikTok. When I got onto TikTok, and those officers would actively record in their police cars in uniform. And I'm like, what is the constructive purpose of this? Because with us, social media policies, yeah, anything can be used to discredit you on the stand. And if you're not authorized to represent that agency on social media, that's a problem. That's a big problem. And we'll talk about that at a different time because I've seen some stuff on social media lately and it's worth a chat. He's a bragger. He's done cell phone warrants, vehicle warrants. So he's obtained warrants for someone's cell phone history. You go before a judge, you swear that out, and then you send it to the carrier. You get all the information in regards to that cell phone. Be careful what you do with these. Be careful. Not great with evidence. That's a big problem when it comes. Okay, if he's so aggressive in getting drugs, posting his drugs on Facebook, but not good with evidence, chain of custody issues can get your cases thrown out. This is a big problem. Left items laying around the office. Red flag. No write-ups or punishment, or it could be no write-ups, one punishment, or it could be no write-ups or punishment. It could have just been he's a smooth talker and got his way out of some stuff. I don't know. This is, I think, a write-up for posting drug arrest on Facebook, if that was done at that department, but wherever it was done, that should have resulted in disciplinary actions. Struggles in report writing, that would have been something to definitely look into and reflected on an evaluation. Not great with evidence. A big write-up right there. If I saw your evidence laying around the office and the chain of custody is broken, oh yeah, that's a big deal. Very receptive when talked to about my concerns. Very eager for training. Wants to be canine. Ooh, that right there is a big one. Grayson already has a firearm. Now you wanted to give him a firearm and a animal? Watch out. Good at acquiring correct info for a report. So he's good at information gathering, the shorthand. But when it comes down to putting it all down into a report, go back to the first one, struggles with report writing. I want to take you back to the Sangamon County's website. And one thing that I clicked on to pull up more information, you'll find it here under Monday, August 5th, Sangamon County Sheriff's Office field case reports from July 6, 2024. All right, so we're here viewing the field case reports for all the officers that were on scene July 6th with at Miss Massey's residence. If you're not familiar with this kind of layout, at the top you have the agency. At the top right, you have the case number. So this is the incident report. You have your date and time, and you have location. If anything with a police report, you want to answer who, what, where, when, how. Sometimes we don't know why, but you want to answer those questions in your police report. Each officer that was on scene and who was part of that of the crime scene log, where I worked, it was required. If you were within the crime scene and you responded, you needed to write a supplement. The primary officers, the primary and secondary officer, like if it's something like, a past burglary and there is just a primary officer who met with the complainants, gathered evidence, gathered statements, they would complete it. The secondary officer can provide a supplemental statement if they observe anything or talk to someone or gather information that the primary officer didn't. They'll put it in here. We're not going to read all of these. This one here is from Officer Mayberry. And you'll notice a common block in here. It'll say, "This was captured on my Exxon duty issued body camera and later downloaded pursuant to Sangamon County Sheriff's Department policy and procedure." So pretty much it'll just say, date, time, where, who, what happened. You have your timestamp. You can read these at your leisure. The next one is from Sergeant Hayes. He was the one who was in the kitchen who asked, "Where's the gun?" So he was the most senior at that time on scene. Compare his write up, his statement to the other officers. It would show maybe experience. It's important to note the great detail that he goes into. So this one here, reporting officer, is blanked out. And there isn't a narrative. There isn't a page 2. So I'm thinking that this write up by the other officer has been redacted because it's not there. You see, reporting officer is blacked out, and that's the only name that's been blacked out in this entire report. And you see page 1 of 2. Well, we jump down to the next page, and we're at page 1 of 2 for Sean Grayson. Here is the start of Grayson's report. I quote, "The following narrative, not verbatim nor in its entirety, is a summary of my investigation, observations, and actions. On 7/6/24 at 0050 hours, I, Deputy Sean Grayson, was dispatched to 2868 Hoover Avenue for a prowler. While on scene, I was in fear, Deputy redacted, and I were going to receive great bodily harm or death due to being in fear of our safety and life, comma, I fired my duty weapon. See my supplemental report for further details. All of these events were documented on my department issued body-worn camera and uploaded for digital preservation per Sangamon County Sheriff's Office departmental policy." Now, we can see, based on the other reports prior to Grayson's, is that the first paragraph and the last paragraphs were cut and paste. That's something that they'll keep on a notepad and put it in their report. The middle, the second paragraph, is all Grayson. And as we see, it makes absolutely zero sense, which is supported by his application, where he couldn't answer questions correctly or follow directions entirely, and from Auburn Chief Dave Campbell's report or his notes that he struggles in report writing. There was nothing about who he met with, what happened, in great fear of what? The prowler, Chucky, all of them, came from Illinois. Was that who you were in fear of? He didn't answer any questions. This is shitty report writing. "And I were going to receive great bodily harm or death from what? What? The boogeyman? Due to being in fear of our safety and life, I fired my duty weapon. At what? Why? How many times? See my supplemental report for further details." But this is his statement. This is going to court. This is a lie right here. All of these events were documented on my department issued body-worn camera and uploaded for digital preservation per Sangamon County Sheriff's Office departmental policy. We did not see all of that on Grayson's camera. That is an untrue statement right there. So, is he lying here, or is he lying when he get on the stand? We can't trust him to be truthful. This was page 2 of 2. So what I'm speculating is that this was reviewed. The sergeant who approved it was Gerald Phelps, approved it, and they're like, "Okay, this is a problem. This is the problem. We have all this that transpired, and he only give us this much. So it looks like once he hits submit, that's your timestamp. Your report is locked. Anything after that has to be a supplemental because you cannot go back and change it. You have to submit it and admit what your error was in the reporting system. So this one here, Grayson wrote this one on the 6th. This was written July 6th. His next narrative is written 3 days later. So it goes to on July 9th at approximately 0800 hours, I requested permission from my supervisor, who? To review my body camera footage. I was granted permission. Again, the following narrative, not verbatim nor in its entirety, is a summary of my investigation, observations, and actions. On 7/6/24 at approximately 0050 hours, I was dispatched to 2868 Hoover Avenue for a prowler. The caller, later identified as Sonya Massey, advised dispatch she hears noises outside and hung up. She would not give dispatch any further information. Deputy Redacted and I arrived on scene. Now, I'm going to stop you right there. Stop you right there. Because right up here at the top, that copy and paste statement, right here, the following narrative, not verbatim nor in its entirety, is a summary of my investigation, observations, and actions. And he stated he needed this to review his body camera footage to get this information. No, he did not. I don't recall seeing this unless this portion of the video was redacted. And this is not it. Deputy Redacted and I walked around back of the residence in the neighbor's yard to the north and south looking for anyone outside. We were not able to locate anyone outside in the area. I approached the house and observed multiple broken windows on a black SUV in the driveway. We'll talk about that later. Due to my training and experience, I noticed to be a high crime area with multiple burglaries. We'll talk about that. Let me make a note. I thought this damage could be related to the call of the reported prowler. I approached the house and knocked on the door multiple times. I could see someone moving around inside the residence, but no one would open the door. Deputy Redacted requested dispatch to call Sonya back and speak with her. I could hear her phone ringing inside the residence, and I heard Sonya yelling something inside as if in an argument with someone, but I could not hear what she was saying. I knocked on the door again. I heard her ask who was at the door. I announced sheriff's office. She stated, hold on. After waiting a period of time, I knocked on the door again and advised sheriff's office. After approximately 4 minutes, Sonya opened the door. Sonya said that she heard someone and our noises outside and wanted us to check. I advised Sonya we canvassed the area and no one was outside and we were unable to locate anyone. I previously observed a black SUV in the driveway with broken glass in the driver's side window and the back passenger window. I observed a brick on the passenger floorboard. I asked Sonya if that was her black SUV in the driveway. She stated it was not. I asked Deputy Redacted to run the vehicle registration through dispatch. The vehicle came back to Sonya. At this time, Sonya stated she needed to show us something inside the house and asked us to come inside the residence. Now, that's going to be up for debate because Grayson stated his body-worn camera captured all of this. I went back and listened to the footage on Deputy Redacted's camera. I don't know. I could not tell if she invited them in or if she was persuaded to let them in or felt as though she was ordered. She had no other choice. So I asked Sonya if the damage was new or if it was a prior incident. So we've now gone from the prowler to inquiring about the vehicle. Where do people store disabled vehicles? In their driveway. If he was on the street, then yeah, that's his problem. But it's in the driveway. That's where people put their disabled vehicles. I asked Sonya for her information to attach to her ticket. What ticket? What ticket? I don't know. Ticket. Parking ticket? Drunk in public ticket? I don't know. Clothing ticket? I don't know why he's needing this. I don't know. This is a red herring. This is something. I asked Sonya if she was doing okay mentally. Okay. Still, this is a clue that he may have already had this information about her, that she was someone that, you know, should not have been treated like a criminal. Okay. Or if any other help was needed. It seemed as if Sonia's mind was all over the place and not able to focus or have a conversation. Sonia stated that she was doing okay and had taken her medicine. Okay, you're fine. I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor. Okay. Do you not need us anymore? Bye bye. Grayson presenting these questions to her could have put her in a position where she felt like she was not free to say, "Get the hell out of my house, get out of my face, leave me alone, shut the door," because, of what we saw in the video. Sonia asked us to come inside the residence. She wanted to show us something first, then would give me her license. Why would she need to give you her license? She's not driving, okay? She's standing in her house. You don't need a license for that. I walked into the house with Deputy Redacted. I observed the house to have all the lights on. The TV was on, nothing was playing, with nothing playing, just a blank screen. I observed two couches, one had a Bible and a baseball bat on it. So he felt really comfortable standing near that baseball bat, that aluminum baseball bat at the front door, and Mrs. Massey sitting right next to it, even reaching outward towards it, even aiding her and giving her items from around the baseball bat. He was really comfortable with that. I asked Deputy Redacted to check the open doors to make sure no one else was in the residence. Why? Did you see any signs of forced entry into the residence from outside? Probably not. So, what was that for? I was unable to locate, or he was unable to locate anyone. I asked Sonia for her license. So now you're demanding her license. So is she free to leave at this time? Yeah, this is a red flag. She grabbed her purse on the couch. Sonia stated she wanted to show me some paperwork multiple times. I advised her to give me her information or her license first. I asked why. Is she detained? Is she detained? I asked multiple times. She attempted to look for her license in her wallet. She stopped and looked at me, then asked me to hand her the open Bible that was on the couch behind me. I handed her the Bible. I asked Sonia if she lived alone. Okay, why does that matter? She stated sometimes she has kids and people stay with her. She said no one was in the residence at that time. I could hear a crackling noise. I looked into the open kitchen approximately 10 feet from where I was standing in the living room, and I saw a large metal pot on the stove. Sonia was boiling an unknown liquid in it. I did not see any food out or other cooking materials. There was just a large pot on the stove. The large pot appeared to be turning a reddish color as if the pot had been on the stove for a long time. I've never had that happen, and I've had some stuff on the stove and it burned. I've never seen a pot turn red. I asked Deputy Redacted to turn off the stove before a fire started in the residence. Sonia stood up from the couch very quickly and went to the kitchen behind Deputy Redacted. She turned off the stove. Yeah, like what right do you have to walk around someone's house? This is someone's home, and that's the one thing that some officers refuse to respect the rules and respect people's home. They're like, you got some home training. But we saw that in Deputy Redacted's video that Miss Massey, she went into the kitchen, and Deputy Redacted was so comfortable that he let her walk behind him. It was, she gave no pre-assault indicators, no hostile, aggressive behaviors, because she walked right behind him and he didn't even turn around, or step back for her to walk in front of him. None of that. Sonia grabbed the large pot and walked toward the sink to the left of the stove. She turned the hot water on, acting as if she was going to pour it down the drain. With both hands on the pot, Sonia turned to face me holding the pot. I did not know the type of liquid that was boiling. I feared Sonia was going to throw the boiling liquid on us, causing great bodily harm or death to Deputy Redacted or I. What pre-assault indicators did you have? Yeah. I asked Sonia to put the boiling liquid down. We know right there that's not so true, because the first thing out of Grayson's mouth was, "You better F or not, or I swear to God, I'll F and shoot you in the effing face," or something like that. That was what he said. He never said to put the pot down. That was his first statement to her. I she stated that she was going to rebuke me in the name of Jesus. I don't think that's a threat. I mean, that's not up to me, but any reasonable person, that's like saying bless you after you sneeze. Okay. She said this twice after he asked her to repeat that. What did you say? Or something like that. And she said it, followed his orders again and repeated it back. I interpreted this to mean she was going to kill me. Hmm. I drew my duty weapon and pointed it at Sonya. I gave her loud, clear verbal commands to drop the pot of boiling liquid. That right there is very difficult. N- I mean, I don't care how they say 1096 you are, no one is going to drop something that is boiling and scald themselves. This was not clear instructions because the first thing out of your mouth is, you better F and not, or I swear to God, I'll shoot you in the effing face. Loosely quoted. That was not clear, concise instructions. Drop a pot of boiling liquid, dropping is not reasonable. She laid it on the stove. It was out of her hands. The next command should have been to step away, come to the sound of my voice, or step away, not continue dropping it when it was already down. That was though his instructions was very confusing and very intimidating, very threatening. I can't say what I'm not, but I'm just saying that was not clear, loud, clear verbal commands. It was loud, was not clear. Verbal commands to drop the pot after it was already sitting on the stove. I mean, I'm on the countertop. At this time, she ducked down behind the cabinet. I approached the cabinet to keep a visual on Sonya to ensure she did not grab any other weapons. Who keeps knives on the floor? This was not reasonable. So why did you close the gap between the two of y'all? Why did you do that? When you're supposed to increase distance, increase your reactionary gap. Okay. She stood up. Sonya stood up from a crouch position, grabbing the pot and raising it above her head. So it had to be a boiling pot above her head. Yeah. Did we see that in the video? I don't think so. Throwing the boiling substance at me. That's very objective. That's very objective because maybe to drop the pot, you need to empty it to drop it without it scolding you. And if she had turned away, she it was a lot going on at that time. This this was not it. This, I believe, from my observation and seeing this, and that is written 3 days after the event, which gave Grayson some time to maybe get this narrative together. I'm just assuming, I'm just speculating from what he wrote on the 6th to now, but I fired my duty weapon in Sonya's direction. These officers are not trained to fire in a direction. You have to be accountable for every bullet that you send out because you're responsible for that. So you don't fire in a direction. I observed Sonya fall to the ground behind the counter. Must meant the counter in between them that he was closing the gap on. I took a side step to look at Sonya to make sure she was not grabbing any other weapon. I observed her fall over, laying flat on the ground. I'm surprised he didn't handcuff her. I called over the radio, shots fired. I requested dispatch to start an ambulance and to have them get on scene as fast as they could. Okay, we can go back and listen to what Grayson stated on the radio. I looked down at my feet and observed the boiling liquid to have hit my boots and observed steam coming from the cabinet area and liquid on the floor of the kitchen. Could this be that Miss Massey, who you just shot and made her fall on the floor, not only was she shot, she was also getting scalded by the water that was on the floor? Was there any water on that island that divided you and her? I'm pretty sure there wasn't. The water was on the floor. I turned back to see Deputy Redacted behind me. I asked if he got hit with the liquid and if he was okay. I don't think that statement was made in the video. He stated he did not get hit and he was okay. Deputy Redacted attempted to give medical assistance to Sonya after how many minutes of y'all with your heads up your butts. I went out to get my squad car. I went out to my squad car to get my first aid bag to render medical attention. After what statements were made and after how many minutes? And yeah, Sergeant Hayes arrived on scene with several other officers and deputies. I advised Sergeant Hayes I fired my duty weapon. I stayed outside of the residence to wait for EMS and fire to arrive. I have to double check that, but he re-entered his crime scene a number of times. I advised everyone but the ambulance and Sergeant Hayes to stay out of the house. Sergeant Hayes advised me to set up crime scene tape. I set that up with the Springfield Police Department officers. Deputy Eccleston transported me to Memorial Medical Center where I gave a blood sample and was cleared medically. I was then transported to the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office and met with the Illinois State Police crime scene investigator. I was then relieved of my duty by my supervisor, Sergeant Hinton. Going into the last page is page 5 of 5. Let it be noted, I did not activate my body-worn camera as soon as Sonya answered the door. I thought I had activated it at the time. I later activated my department-issued body-worn camera when I realized it was not on. When? When was this? When was this? When did you realize it was not on? So here's something else. I notified my supervisor, Sergeant Hinton, that my body-worn camera was not activated until later during the incident. When? When? When did you activate it? Why was it not activated? Deputy Redacted advised his body-worn camera was activated for the entire event. So in this narrative, it appears as though because Deputy Redacted statement appeared to have come right before Grayson's, that Grayson read Deputy Redacted's report and built his around it. That's just my guess. That's my assumption. Okay, I'm not saying that's what happened. But yeah, this was written 3 days later, and he's contradicted himself multiple times, but to have to go back and review your body camera footage that we see started after you had already fired on Miss Massey. And luckily with the Axon camera, I think it loops back 30 seconds to a minute prior to you cutting the camera on. So if that's what your body worn camera captured, where did all the events and your recollection of these events come from if it wasn't caught on camera and your initial supplement narrative on the 6th did not contain that? Where did this come from? So to me, that would be a big deal, and that would be a big issue on integrity. Now, I'm going to take you to a few of the calls for service reports, and these call for service reports are it's the messaging between dispatch, the call takers at dispatch, the dispatcher that dispatches the officers. And then you also have like an instant messaging system with the police computers in the car. You have a messaging system and you can chat with other officers, and it's important to remember everything that you type in there, everything that you do while on duty, including using your own personal cell phone, is subject to be called into court as evidence. Screen. We're going to go through these in no particular order. This right here is a call for service detail report, and this is from 7/5. It appears to be a medic only call, but it gives detail. It's call for service came in, spoke with 17 and with Sonya. It could be 17 can be someone's call sign. It could be someone who was 17. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Sonya advised that she did not want to speak with any medical professionals or seek treatment at this time. 17 advised that Sonya was not suicidal or homicidal. Spoke with EMTs on scene and mental behavioral health who cleared her because she was not homicidal or suicidal. She's not a threat to herself or the public. And then you have the right to decline medical treatment, and that's what she did. And as it stated, she's not dangerous, but she's paranoid, and daughter is having mental breakdown, mental issues. If this was the case, they did not deem it was necessary to go and seek, like, a commitment order. That's something that you can do if someone who's obviously in need of medical treatment but refuses it. You can seek out a mental order. That doesn't appear to be the case. She was cleared, to go on about her business. The next call for service, this was for that's that same day, the 5th. And Miss Massey ended up going to the hospital, having some mental issues. And it was something over, damage to her vehicle. And you can read this at your leisure. What it appears as though she may not have been able to locate the keys, but wanted to gain entry to it. It's not illegal to break and destroy your own stuff, So this was that she appeared to have been treated for some minor injuries that she received trying to get into her vehicle. The call for service for when Grayson and Deputy Redacted reported to responded to Sonia's home. The call was created, it was taken by a call taker. Then the incident goes to the dispatcher. Dispatcher relays that to the officers. Okay. So this is what comes up on the MDC screen in the police car. So it marks when the units are on scene. So it goes here, we were dispatched at 0050. You can ask dispatch my time. When was I dispatched? When did I arrive? Because you mark arrive when you're on scene. If Sonia called to ask her to come to the door. At 0117, asking for the plates to be ran on the vehicle, which returned back to Miss Massey. It was like not an issue. I mean, you can tell, past damage, and dispatch would have already given you this information while you're en route. So people say en route, I say en route. While you are en route, they'll let you know, hey, units responded earlier today for this, report taking, property damage, units responded this, medics only. You'll get this information on the way. So they knew, Grayson and Deputy Redacted knew this information. It was right here available. Many officers would testify, I'm in a high crime, high drug area, to justify some of their actions. And they are going into an area with a preconceived mentality that everyone in that area is bad, so it's really toxic. And I hate to use the word toxic, but it's really toxic to have that mentality because you think everything, is, and everyone is involved in something illegal in this high crime, high drug area, which is oftentimes not the case, when you go into a certain area. I hope that this video cleared up and I shared a lot of information on how to read police reports, how to read police narratives, the problems with Sean Grayson's report and his account and his integrity, which I hope will be called into, view of the jury and of the public when this goes to trial, because there was a lot of inconsistencies, and he has a history of not being truthful when it comes to report writing, his application process. And what we saw, what we see, of course, everything is alleged, although we saw it on camera, but everything is alleged until a jury and a judge decides, what the outcome will be. But yeah, make sure you pay attention to police reports, pay attention to camera footage, compare the two, note the inconsistencies when it comes to like your own police reports and obtaining body camera footage and stuff like that, because this could make or break a case. And I just thought that I would come on and share those things with you. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to the new subscribers. I appreciate your interactions in the comments. I'm thankful for those who have shared information that have brought a new perspective to me and caused me to take a second look at things. So thank you so much. And I look forward to interacting with you later. Thank you.